Hi guys. Okay, as promised, I thought I did a video like this way back, one of my first videos. So if you go back and you look at it, you can. I thought I'd go over it again. One thing I've learned from questions and stuff I've seen in the comments and stuff and everything else is that after you make several videos and get them up and you get some new subscribers and stuff, sometimes people ask about if you can do a video on something or something else, and you already done it before. So a lot of times it's kind of hard to go through the videos and try to look them up if you're looking for a particular video on someone's channel. So I think a little bit of repeat once in a while helps, plus it gives me a chance to go over some different stuff and maybe stuff I forgot. But basically what it is as promised in the last video that I would do a video about this, is just tools, both starting out and as you get along, plus some maybe a few little minor tips or interesting things that you can get to help you out. Of course, hand tools wise, various different needle nose pliers, something short and small to get in tight, working with tight stuff and small stuff. Also some long ones to get down deep into tight down deep into a chassis. You might have something down in there. The longer reach really kind of helps out. Duckbill pliers. These are non-serrated. They're flat, everything. That's why they call them duckbill. They're kind of nice if you're like, releasing your twist lock type capacitor cans, or bending metal or something in a chassis that you need to get something loose or things of that nature. Side cutters, flush cutters, excuse me, and really flush cutters, angled, and they cut down right to the edge, because these work real nice, especially when you're working with say something from the 50s and 60s that's got circuit boards in them. You stick your new component in, new capacitor, whatever. The leads are kind of long. You spread them out a little bit so that the thing will stay soldered in, and then you need to cut them off, and this will get you right down tight against the board to cut the lead. So those are kind of handy. And as far as these tools go, these are Exolite as well as these, but you don't have to get those. You can go to a lot of your big box stores like Menards or some of those places. You can find these for like a couple bucks, and they work just fine. The only thing I don't like about them is the cheaper ones. They've got like these needle nose pliers here. They've got them hard plastic handles. Now, it doesn't bother my hand using them, but my biggest problem is when they're laying on the table, sometimes trying to get a hold of them. These handles are hard and they're not very sticky or anything. They're real smooth, so they make it hard, where these are thick rubber, so grabbing those is a lot easier. These here came from like Menards, Master Force brand. Both of them did, and they're not really, they're cheaper, but they're actually well made. About the only problem I have with these is the handles are not really well glued on, but that's not a big deal. You can get contact cement or some other type of glue and re-glue them so that they'll stay. But these are really, really good for long needle nose pliers, because they're stout. They don't give, unlike the ones I got here, which you'd think would be alright, but I can easily deflect them See, so they're not as stout as these are. So for being cheap, they're actually really good. Another thing is a decent quality screwdriver. I like these little 6-in-1 screwdrivers. Why they call them 6-in-1 is they've got 2 bits here. You got just a standard straight, the number 2 Phillips. On the other end, you got a smaller straight and a number 1 Phillips. That makes up for 4. The other 2 in here this is a 5/16 nut driver and this 1/4" nut driver. So, but what I really like about them, they're really well made. You want something that is, you know, pretty sturdy and well made to take loose, stubborn screws without just damaging them. Plus you get all the tools in just one. These were like, I don't know, $6-7. They're not real expensive. Another thing is wire strippers. You can get a set like this where, you know, it's just a standard, cuts the insulation here for whatever size wire you got, and then you just pull off. They also got the bolt cutter here for the various numbered size screws from size 5 to size 10 screw. You just screw it in there to the right length. It's from going in this way to this point here. Squeeze it, it cuts it off for you, and pretty clean cut. And of course also you got your crimp connectors here. You can crimp. The other, this is Gardner Bender brand GB. You can pick these up at like electrical supply houses, as well as hardware stores and stuff like that. Carries Gardner Bender, even automotive stores. Gardner Bender is really a good name brand, and they're not real expensive. I don't remember how much these cost. I've had them forever. Another nice set that I like is these here. These are auto. There's no, you know, having to figure out what size wire or whatever. Everything, you just stick it in there, squeeze, and it cuts it, or, you know, strips it. The downfall of this is your cloth colored wire doesn't do a very good job on, whereas these do. So, and a tip, if you're in a tight spot, or if you're like, say, rewiring a power transformer, you can't get the wires all the way inside the transformer. I mean, you pull the covers off, the clamshells off, but you can't, you know, they go into paper in there, and then they're locked in. So you have to leave some. You want to leave about 1 inch to tie your new wire on. Well, when you cut, you know, use the strippers on them, you don't have nothing really to hold on to, and you don't want to just pull on them. You may pull the wire completely out of the transformer. What you can do is take, you know, a pair of needle nose pliers and come in just like this, and give you some idea. What I mean is, let's say this is your wire here, and you come in here and you make your snip. Now you don't have nothing to hold on to here. If it's real short, like you come on that transformer, you can come in below them just like this, clamp on. Of course, if you're using needle pliers, don't come into your cutter here. Come in like that, and then just pry. Bloop, pops right off. Nice and clean. So you just pry up, and that way it's not putting no stress down here where it might pull out of that transformer or anything, and you're good to go. So that's a nice little tip to let you know. Let's see, what else? Okay, for right now we'll hold on that for hand tools. We'll go over some other hand tools that would come in handy. Let's talk about a digital multimeter. Nice to have. This is my go-to meter. I've got several VTVMs, but they take time to warm up. get them turned on, let them warm up and everything. This is quick and hassle-free. One little tip I would give anybody that's new, especially new to electronics, is if you buy one, first of all, don't chance. This cost me about $100. So get a decent one, but also get auto ranging. I have seen videos on YouTube where some people who are not that knowledgeable, they're just learning still, using a digital multimeter that isn't auto ranging, where you set the ranges and end up thinking that they had, something bad, because they set the range wrong and it wasn't reading right, especially ohm scale. If you're reading like the secondary, high tension secondary on a power transformer, the resistance on it, and let's say it's, say 400, 500, 600 ohms, and you got that just one that you set the ranges on, if you set it too low, it's going to show it being open, because it's going to be out of limits on there, because if you got it on too low a setting, you might think you got a bad transformer. So auto ranging, you don't have to worry about that. Also, the other thing is too, a lot of the ones that are for voltage anyway, that are not auto ranging are not really that good of quality and well protected. So if you think that you got it set right for a certain voltage, and you measure the voltage on there and it's quite a bit higher, it may take your meter out. Where the auto ranging, it's not going to. It'll automatically range to wherever. So I really suggest you get the auto ranging. It just works better. There's not really a lot of price difference whether you get auto ranging or not. So just go with the auto ranging is a better way of doing it. Let's see. Okay, so that takes care of a voltmeter. Another little thing would be, well, you need to solder. So we're going to talk about a little bit about soldering. Here's a little area that you really want to spend a little money on too. You want a good quality, variable temperature soldering iron. I know you can go out and buy, just one where you just got the tip like this, and it plugs just directly in the wall. They're called pencil soldering irons, obviously, because they look like a pencil. But the big problem, one of the big problems with those are very low wattage, 25 to 35 watts, averaging around 30 watts. And they're fine for like little circuit boards and stuff and everything at that wattage, but when it comes to point-to-point wiring in your 30s and 40s radios, they just don't work. You'll spend all day trying to heat up a solder joint to either solder something to it or unsolder it. If you're trying to solder and you don't get it hot enough, it's going to be a cold solder joint and it's going to cause you problems. This one is 65 watts maximum power, so that's what you're looking for. The other thing is being variable, and the reason for the variable is the fact that not everything you're ever going to be working on or restoring is going to be point to point. You get into newer radios, in the mid 50s, or TVs, if you start working on those, they're going to have early circuit boards, and they don't like a lot of heat. So you want to be able to crank it down, to a much lower setting when you're soldering on them circuit boards, so you don't damage them. If you run it at full power, it could very well lift the traces off. So that's the reason for the variable. Generally, I keep this one run at full top because most of the stuff I deal with is point to point. But and then the other thing about them, you get a nice little stand, and this one comes with a sponge as well as the wire mesh here. It's a brass mesh. That's the only thing you ever want on these tips, is just that kind of mesh. And you just stick in there and it cleans it off. This generally, I use this mostly. The other nice thing about these is you can buy replacement tips. Same place where you got the soldering iron or other places. All different styles. You want a tip that's pretty massive and thick for especially the point to point, but then you might want a smaller tip for like doing circuit boards. But you just unscrew this, tip comes right off, and you put a new tip on or a different tip. Plus the heating element in these you can replace when they go, if they go bad. Some of the tips about these is make sure this stays tight. With time it may work loose. So if it's getting where it doesn't seem like it's wanting to heat as well, check this right here. Make sure that this lock nut that holds this down, holds this collar on, which holds the tip tight against the heating element, is tight. Because you want it tight against that heating. The tighter it is to that heating element, the better, within reason. It's a ceramic heating element, so you don't want to get strong with it, but you want it tight. Because if it ain't tight, it's not getting conduction. The other thing is when you store your soldering iron for the night, for the day or whatever, put a little extra solder on the tip and let it store that way. The solder will corrode, the tip won't. If you keep the tip extraordinarily clean and store it that way, the tin plating that's on this tip could start corroding on you, which will ruin the tip. The other thing is no filing. Don't take anything other than what is on this base for cleaning the tip. Nothing more aggressive than that, because you take that tin coating off the end of this tip, it's done. And it's fairly thick, but you could easily, like if you're just filing or something, you could go right through it. So, some solder tip, talking about tips, when you're soldering or desoldering, anytime you're going to heat up a joint, first clean your tip and then add fresh solder to it. Even if you're desoldering, it may seem, well, that's not quite right. You're going to be adding more solder where I'm taking it. But fresh solder has fresh flux. And it's nice and clean. You get the best heat transfer that way. So every time you go to solder a joint, or every time you go desoldering a joint, even if it's just a few minutes later, clean, add a little solder, and then go ahead and do your work. You'll get the best heating and the quickest heating and the best heat transfer that way. Now, as far as desoldering, various different heat suction pumps for desoldering. I like this one, I think they call it soda pullet, but anyway, you might be able to read that on there. But anyway, this one works really well. This I bought at Radio Shack a long time ago, and it works, but it don't have near the suction as something like this one does. I got this off of Amazon. I've used various ones of these in this brand, and they're really, really nice. They stand up really well. Of course, there's always maintenance. You can also buy replacement tips. Of course, both of them you can. But you got keep them clean every once in a while, re-lubricate them and stuff. But they work really well. There's other types. There's this type where you've got a it looks like just a pencil soldering iron. It's got a tube that comes down near the tip. It would come down to here, right by the tip, and it's got a squeeze thing on it, a bulb on it. You squeeze that down, heat the joint, and when you release it, it sucks up through that tip solder. And those work actually not too bad. And then there's another type where it's actually electric motor with a pump, and it's got a hollow tip in it. You can get replacement tips. Hollow tip, and the pump creates a vacuum, and of course it's electric soldering iron basically, and you put it right over your joint, hit the button, and the pump kicks on and it sucks up the solder after you melted it. But those are kind of expensive, around at least $100. So for doing, of course, the other thing too is when you are solder wick, solder braid, whatever. You can get this stuff anywhere. I got this from Mauser. One little thing is the 50-foot rolls really is nice, but if you don't use them on a regular basis, they tend to start drying out. So really, once that's out, I'll probably go back to either 5 or 10-foot rolls. Of course, some solder paste comes in quite handy, especially if you got some stuff that you're soldering to that's kind of old. Like you clip out an old cap, and you're going to pigtail into a new cap into it. You want to clean that metal off good. That's of what's left of the pigtail there, and then sometimes you might have to use a little solder paste on it. Tools. Now, a lot of these you probably won't use, but a lot of times they come as kits. The ones I use the most are the, let's see, these are soldering implements, tools, is these three. This one, well, of course, it's got the brushes on the end, but these two has got real flat, I don't know if I can get that to focus in on that, edges right here to get in and break something loose. Now this one's straight across. I like this one better because it's angled. So you got something wrapped around in a terminal strip or something, and you want to break it loose, take it loose. You suck off most of the solder and stuff. You may even wick some of the rest of it off. It may still be stuck a little bit. This will get in there. You can squeeze get right. It's real sharp, and you get right down in there, and then just pry a little bit, just twist it a little bit, and pop it right loose. And then this one here, like on sometimes on like your volume controls and stuff like that, they may have just a small hole, and even if you try to get most of the solder off, it may still have a little remains inside. You can get this, poke right in there and kind of clean it out. This here is to ream it a little bit. So these three is the ones I use the most. The rest of them are for various other tech deals. As far as heavier work, 300-watt soldering pistol iron is fine. One of the big tips about this is, of course, store it with solder. And the other thing is, and this one does need tightening, it's loose. You have to check these periodically. I haven't checked this one for a while. I haven't used it for a while too. So I notice it's a little loose. They'll get a little loose with time. So every once in a while you got to tighten these. If you ever notice, if you got one of these, you ever notice it not soldering as well, as heating up as well, check these. You may even have to take the tip back out, clean it up good, make sure it's clean in here. Clean metal, tight metal works best. You get the best heat transfer. The other thing, keep the tip in good clean order and keep solder on it for storage. And when you got really heavy duty stuff, then one of these works. This is 150 watt, but I got 100 watt too. 100 watts fine. The biggest thing about these is this mass right here. This mass. If you're doing chassis, soldering to a chassis itself, this is what you need. Now the big difference between the different wattage ratings is how fast this thing heats up. The lower the wattage, the longer it takes. Generally, I give them the 100 watt about 15 minutes to get fully heated, the tip fully heated up. Once it's heated up, it don't cool down. Not until you unplug it. The 150, about 12 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, and then it's fully heated up. And it'll vary a little bit too. But you can buy these brand new. I did once a video about it or something, or at least left a comment once. True Value Hardware Stores has got a Weller 100 watt for about $100, and it's a good quality, good heavy gauge tip on it and everything, and it'll do fine. 100 watts will do just perfectly fine. Like I said, I've got a 100 watter right here, and I've used this one a lot too. The only thing I don't like about this one, well, and it's just this one. It's not because it's 100 watt. It's because I have tried everything in my power to get that screw loose so I can clean up inside here. That one is locked tight. I've used every type of penetrating oil and everything man can think of has ever invented. I have tried pounding on it gently, the heating element's in here, to try to loosen it up. I've tried taking it loose when it's hot, cold, in between. It matters not. This thing will not budge. Where this one will, and I can keep it clean, so I use it more than this one. But I use this one too. You can see the size difference in them and stuff. But this one will solder just as good as this one will. It just takes it about 5-10 minutes longer to heat up to get full operating temperature. That's the only difference. So you can also buy them used. They're out there, so you can look for them. Now, this is going to be part 1 because this is going to take a while. But I am going to hit upon one other piece of equipment that's on the bench, only because it needs to be said, and I will not compromise on this. Let me move here a little bit, and we're going to let you down just a little bit, hopefully not too badly. Okay. Sorry about that. And that's this guy. Before you do anything else, before you buy any of this other stuff you're going to get in this hobby, this is your first investment right here. There is no argument to this, and there's no room for discussion about this. Basically what it boils down to, and I don't care what price these things has gotten to be on out there. You can buy brand new ones, by the way. But make sure they are true isolation transformers. They make two types now. Some that are not true isolation, and those there are. But what it boils down to simply is this: what's the value of your life? And far better yet, what is your family's value of your life? So I believe that your life is priceless. So whatever price this is, they're $100, so what? It's the cheapest insurance you will ever buy to protect your life, and that's what it's going to do. So not everything you work on or ever will work on will have its own transformer. A lot of stuff, especially by the time you make it in the 40s, late 40s and into the 50s, is totally a lot of it don't have transformers. And the chassis could very well be hooked to one side of the line. So without this, you're taking a chance of getting yourself electrocuted. Isolation transformer. Now, it don't have to be of this or RCA ISO tap. It can be just a single plug-in, single transformer with a plug and one outlet on it. This just happens to have variable set voltage line settings depending on what your line voltage is. This side here is direct. If you get one of these, make sure you realize this. This is not isolated on this side. Only this side is. And then it's got low, medium, and high over here as well. So, no compromise. Get one of these or build one. You can build one out of a couple transformers. Or you can even buy one-to-one transformers and build one. It don't matter. And like I say, you can also buy new ones. Just make sure that they are absolutely, truly isolated. In any case, don't mess around. Get one of these. So that'll be the end of part 1. In part 2, we'll start talking about some of the other equipment, some other hand tools, and everything else. So if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. Be looking forward to part 2. If you're new to my channel, you haven't subscribed yet, and you like this kind of stuff and you're interested in this, then please subscribe, and that way you'll know when like part 2 is coming out and any other videos. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.